My dad passed away a couple years ago. Actually, I think it's almost 3 years ago now. Anyway, I expected his death for a long time because I was told that he was living here on his own time. You know, whatever he came here to do, he had already accomplished, and when he chose to go, it would be his time to go. So for me, I was able to prepare already for my father's passing. Yes, when he passed, I was sad and you know, a little emotional about it, but...
A little?
Well, the very first couple days, it was, you know, I cried a lot. Oh, Dad's gone, really?
You called it a little?
I called that a
2
little.
days?
Well, no, but there are individuals out there.
I don't know them.
And these individuals, what they even named it, they label it the death-aversary. And every year, they spend the entire day sad, crying, feeling depressed because they miss their loved one. And this year goes on for years and years. And that's why we're having this video. Because I think it's important that individuals know that life goes on, not just for us, but for the loved one who passed on, who crossed over.
And that's a better term, crossed over.
Yes.
Not passed on, really.
They crossed from the physical world into the spiritual world. They're still around. You can still talk to them. You'll even get messages from them if you're paying attention to it, and that's what you want. So, it's...
Now, but wait a minute.
Yeah.
This comes from someone that's still, well, I don't know if you still are a staunch Catholic, but this is coming from you.
Yes.
Cool. When you heard about the teachings, what you've told me, you're like, that's the work of the you-know-what. What happened? What makes you believe that these folks just crossed over instead of dying one-time death?
Because of my personal experience, where because of my husband's abilities, he's able to see and hear all the spirits. And I've had both of my grandmothers come through to give me messages, my aunts and uncles. My dad, the day he passed away, came through. My Uncle Richard, who recently passed about a year ago. And so...
Oh, we had fun with him. Even before he passed away.
Yes, even before.
Okay, but see, Mike, speaking from the skeptic's point of view, you're married to me. That's already biased, in my opinion. So how do you even know that I wasn't making these things up? These messages, these so-called messages from your loved ones, just so they can feel good.
Because you don't know my family. And then I could look good in your eyes. You don't know my family. You've never really spent time. You've never spent the kind of time with them to get to know them to where when you gave me the messages that you would even have a clue as to what they were talking about. And you even said that. You make it sound
like I don't like your family.
Oh, my husband likes my family. It's just, you know, like you and I spend every day together. So I know you very, very well.
No, but that's not even it. See, the part to me is, and this just came to me. Your aunt, your grandmothers, both of them,
yes,
they passed away even before we got close.
Very true.
So why would I be hanging around your grandparents when
exactly?
When
See, point proven.
I just thought about that.
Yes.
Now your dad.
You knew my dad.
I knew your dad, and I used to hang out with your dad.
Yes, but there were things about my dad that you didn't know.
Like what? Well, I would think so, but
exactly. Things that pertain to me when I was a child, when you weren't even in the picture.
Got it.
You know?
Got it.
So.
And those things were, what, those came through or something? I don't recall.
Yes, like the tie that I made for my dad for Easter one year. My sister and I made outfits, Easter outfits, and I sewed a tie. He wore it for our wedding. And then when we went to go and see Dad's body and visit with all the relatives at the funeral home, they had put that tie on his body.
Okay.
To bury him with that tie. And Dad came through right there and to talk to Mom at the funeral home. And one of the things that was pointed out was that Mom didn't want to use that tie. She wanted to use a different one. But he's happy that she used that one or something to that effect because of the importance to him. Something to that effect.
Very good. I don't
Mom gave me the message, which of course, already.
How did she get the message?
You told her what it was,
Oh,
and then
I
she
did.
told me after the funeral and everything was done.
Wow, I don't recall any of it. Which of course happens.
Which means that the message came through. He never really remembers much of the messages, if anything. That's not
When they
important
come
to
through.
him.
Yeah,
When
that
they
is
come
true.
through.
I don't recall that at all.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just
Yes.
want to put that out there because if I were watching this video
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know you as beautiful as you are, I'm not sold easy by beauty, see? I still have to get proof. So you could put on all the sexy smile and stuff. I
Be
doesn't-
like the actresses in Hollywood. Just
Yes.
believe me because I'm on the screen.
Right, that doesn't work with me. So that's how I wanted to point that out. And you brought up some things I really don't recall. I don't recall them at all.
Right.
Well, thanks, Dad, for wearing the tie. Anyway, go ahead.
No, but I think it's also important to know, I don't remember names, which I wouldn't even reveal here, but there were individuals who every year they mourned the passing of their loved one, or the crossing over of their loved one, as you and I like to call it. And it turned out that their loved one wanted to move on, but they weren't able to because the family kept mourning them, and every year they'd have these big events for
Well,
them.
let's you're jumping ahead a little bit.
Oh, I
right?
am.
We get first. You were on what people do, to remember their loved ones.
Right.
So I'd like you to finish that thought first. I don't know if you have
Okay.
anything else to add to that. For example, you said they have birth anniversary or something.
Death anniversary.
Death. I've never heard that. Is that even an
That's
English
a
word?
term that, I don't know if it is, but it's a term that was recently shared with me from an individual that we work with who, sent a message. Oh, I think my energy's really low today. I've been crying all day. I'm so upset. This is the 10th death anniversary of my
Okay.
father's passing.
Okay.
Okay. So, we went ahead and talked through that, and got through that.
Was a person that they begin to understand?
Yes.
Okay.
They began to understand what they should
And
do.
I know that I've seen.
How to help themselves
I've
and
seen
their loved ones.
vehicles that have these stickers on them in memorial of so and so.
Yeah, so they have the
People
R
passed
period,
on.
I period, P period for rest in peace, and then they have our beloved, Papa and a name with the
Or it could be
date
a
of birth
brother
and- or brother, uncle,
Right.
friend, whatever. And they even have shirts made, all kinds of things to remember someone who has crossed over.
Right. Okay.
There are even individuals who set up foundations or scholarship funds in the name of a loved one, which is great because it's for a good cause. But then at the same time, might
Well,
be holding that soul back, which we
Not
had one
really-
case of that.
Not really. Not if they're setting the foundation in a named individual, but that's it. They're not lamenting about it. See,
It's only when they
that's the
lament
difference.
about it?
Exactly. Remember, everything is tied to emotions.
Right.
All right. It would be similar to someone, for example, me telling you that I dislike you. All right. I don't like you. Okay. I can say that to you right now,
Right.
and it really doesn't mean much because the emotion that's tied to it is not a negative one. I'm just saying something. But the moment I say that and then there's anger tied to it or negative emotions, then all of a sudden it becomes a negative thought that can affect you. So if someone is setting up a foundation saying, well, I'll do this in memory of my spouse or my brother because I want to help people, but I just want them to know that it's because of my brother or my mom. That's it. But
Right.
every year they're not sitting there saying, oh, I miss my mom or I miss my brother. They're not doing that. Make sense?
Right.
They're not lowering their frequency by doing that.
Right.
The individuals though that have these in memory of, and you could even have those memorials maybe and not have any emotions tied to it, it's hard to imagine.
Right.
But if you can do that without those emotions, the negative emotions or the emotions that pull your frequency down, then you're all right. As I said though, for me, it's sort of challenging to imagine that somebody would go through all that trouble and not feel some emotion with it.
Exactly.
So that's my part I'm adding to your perspective. What other ways do they do that? Do they You have the anniversary. You have the. I've seen
All the
crosses in
memorials.
different areas, and where people die of accidents, they have crosses. Then they have the
Right.
person's name there. Right.
Making shrines of the person and all their things that they liked.
Right.
And
Well, one of the biggest
it's one thing
ones-
to remember, but it's another thing, like you said, to put the emotion behind it. But, you know, just the example that's coming to mind is a soul of I'll say young man who came through, and he wanted to go, he wanted to move on, but he was having a hard time doing that because his mother was constantly grieving over him. And she set up a foundation in her son's name, but there was all that emotion that was tied to it, and she was holding him back from moving on.
Okay, we might as well just go there. They just insist on going there already.
Well, that's what we were talking about.
But no, that's the effect of the people that have the emotions tied to it.
Right.
So we're going to get to that. Might as well get to it now, though. We're already
Okay,
there.
we're here.
So the point is that if you have the emotions tied to the thought, then there's a very high possibility that the soul is kept here. They're earthbound. The soul is earthbound. I feel very certain that if there's anybody out there that knew that there is the possibility of keeping their loved ones earthbound because of what they're doing, they'd probably stop doing it.
I think so.
And that's why we're recording this video, so that they understand that part of it. So now, why would the soul be earthbound, in your opinion? Or what's your thought on
Well, I
that?
would think since everything is frequency and energy, that maybe our energy, emotional energy, is so strong that it's preventing them because they want to make sure we're okay. So they're going to stay around. Oh, they're still crying over me. They're still upset about my past, my crossing over. Let me just hang around a little bit more and make sure they're okay, is what I think would happen.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
See, individuals think that, the way you opened, is that when someone crosses over, they're dead and they don't exist anymore. Well, no. All
Or-
they've done is it's like going through a door, like from one room to the next room. That's why it's called a transition. They're going from being a physical being to a spiritual being. But their soul still exists. And they remember everything about what they just left. And of course, if they left their loved ones there, they're not sad about it because they understand why they're leaving. Now, maybe while they were on the physical plane, before they saw the bigger picture, they were hesitant about leaving, and that happens a lot too. We've had those where individuals hold on because they're concerned about their loved ones.
Right.
Well, how will they survive? You know, how will they be taken care of? But once they cross over, they realize, oh, they'll be taken care of because now they see it from the spiritual realm.
You see the bigger picture.
Exactly. The individuals that are in the physical plane, they don't see the bigger picture. So they're thinking, well, I wonder where my uncle is. I wonder where my mom or my dad is. I wonder if they went to heaven.
And I was about to say that from the Catholic standpoint, we're told you either go to, down to where it's burning and everything's bad, or you could go to purgatory, limbo, or heaven. So I know
When did Jesus talk about that?
I don't know.
Oh,
Don't ask me that question. I
that-
never read the Bible to be able to tell you that.
okay.
But-
the Bible that I've read, I don't recall that in there.
Well, in the Catholic Church, they say the children of Fatima were shown purgatory, and all the souls that were in anguish down there because of all the wrong they had done here. So, from my
But
Catholic upbringing,
they never released the statements from the kids.
no, they didn't. This
Right.
is just what they speculated.
So I'm
was
just
then.
wondering. you know?
Okay, but so anyway, getting back to my standpoint from a Catholic standpoint, I used to believe that, like, oh my gosh, you have to continuously think about them and pray for them to help them get out of purgatory, and hopefully they're not down in the other darker place, and that way they can hopefully gain graces to go to heaven. I
Okay.
see it differently now, though. But isn't that a way of maybe preventing the soul from moving on?
Of course. I mean, they're scared the daylights out of you like that. Of course. No, that even the soul itself. Let's say, for example, I didn't go to church as Catholics. Good Catholics are supposed to go. So I'm not a good Catholic, obviously. They're supposed to go to church every Sunday. I remember growing up. Of course, I went to Catholic schools my entire life until I went to college
Right.
because I didn't go to a Catholic college. That's the point, I guess. So, but growing up, we had to go to church. Each class was designated a day to go to church in the morning for morning services. And you better go, and your teacher was there to check to see if you went. And if you didn't go, when you got to school, you were in trouble because you were going to smoke the daylights out of your bottom or your hand. I mean, you get punished for not going to church. All right, so if that's happening when you're younger, what happens as you grow older? For me, I don't want to go to church. But all of a sudden now, I have free will. Like, all those times you were hitting me because I didn't want to go, I went because I was forced to, I'm not going now. Well, of course I went on Sundays, right?
Right.
But not those weekdays.
Or holy days of obligation.
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly what it was. Obligation. So of course they mess you up like that, and they don't think about that. They think they're rearing good Catholics by forcing the kids to do things like that. That's not a good thing to do.
Well, I remember my grandma, my mom's mom. She always said, "Well, I'm not a good Catholic. I don't go to church, and I don't do any of that holy stuff. So when I die, the church is going to come crumbling down, and you know where to find me. You can visit me down there." So having that, when she passed away, and I was just learning about the teachings, I still didn't understand the whole concept of crossing over, and that the soul continues on and can come back, etc. I was thinking, oh my gosh, she must really be down to where, because I've heard stories about her life, and oh my gosh, I need to pray for her. So I did that. I clung on to her, but then I know she did come through many times, and she's fine. She's over there.
Oh, she's fine. Okay, hopefully she's fine.
She's crossed.
Okay. But so you're absolutely right. Sometimes our religious bringing help us create a perspective where we're holding the souls back and we don't realize it. But to go back to what I said earlier, the souls, they're there, they can see us, and of course they care about us. So if we're being sad, and then some people say, I wish you were here, I wish you never died, I wish you'd come back, then of course the soul doesn't want to leave.
Right.
Because they want to help you. And then they're trying to give you different signals, hey, I'm fine, the lights are flickering, or whatever else they're doing, but you don't pay attention to it. Remember we had that one kid that came through and said that he kept trying to get in touch with his mom, the one kid that committed suicide, but she never caught any of the things that he did. As a matter of fact, you even mentioned it to her, and then she said she didn't see anything.
Right.
He even came through once and said, well, every time she goes and then she takes a bath, I'm right there, I'm telling her,
Yeah, she didn't get it. She didn't see it. She didn't observe it. She wasn't paying attention to her surroundings.
And she's probably still spending her life right now worried about where he is. So hopefully, well, he got released, right?
He did. He crossed over completely.
He did get released. He told us that. But again, for individuals that have these memorials and you're concerned about your individual, your loved one that has transitioned, they're fine. They've transitioned to a better place than Earth.
There is no suffering when you leave the physical body.
Well, there might be, I don't know.
Well, it depends on the reality you create for yourself. But I mean, like individuals
afterwards?
Right, afterwards.
Oh,
like
you said when you're
out of the physical body, like your soul has left the physical body.
Yeah.
There's no more pain from any diseases or accidents or anything like that.
At least not we've been shown.
Right.
Right. That's they're fine. They're getting ready to come back if they're supposed to re-embody. So you don't need to worry about if they're fine. They worry about you. The best you can do is to just let them be happy.
Right.
And then you'll be happy for them. And as you've talked about many times, if everyone were to think about it this way, well, I wonder what my loved one would want me to do right now. Then everyone would be happier.
Yes.
Because they know their loved one wouldn't want them to be sad or be mourning.
Right.
Because they love them too much to have them do that. So it's time to let go of any thought that maybe they're suffering or they're down where. How fair is God if he takes some people, just sends them down there, because after they die or pass on, they go down to where they don't get a chance.
Right.
And in the Bible it says he's a fair God, right? He's fair.
He's fair.
So, and we don't mean F-E-A-R.
It's F-A-I-R.
Right.
Fair.
'cause I talk funny, like you said sometimes. So you want everybody to know, just know that they're fine, and celebrate their death. And like the Buddhists and other faiths, they actually celebrate the passing because it's a new beginning for that soul.
That's right.
And if you want to celebrate anything, if you want to have an anniversary, make it an anniversary of their transitioning, but a new beginning for them. So it's a celebration.
Celebration. I've heard that many times. Celebration of life. We're having a celebration of life for our loved one who passed.
Exactly.
I've heard that many times.
Now that's fine, because you're reliving the great things that they accomplished or the wonderful life that they had with you in this embodiment. They'll come back at a different time, but for now, it was a great one. So it's okay to have the memorial if it's one of happiness.
Right, and it's okay to miss them, but remember, be happy for them. They've crossed over.
Exactly, and let them go. If you're wishing that they're here, you don't need to do that. They are here. You just have to talk out loud. Just speak out loud, they hear you, and they will respond.
And for instance, there might be someone who is considered on their deathbed. And like with my father, he was in the hospital and he was having heart challenges. And I was told to go to the hospital to let him know it was okay to go. It was up to him. He had accomplished what he was supposed to. And I let my dad know this. And my dad chose to stay and he became stronger and healthier. Well, some individuals, they might just stay because everybody's crying around them and it's really their time to go and they want to go, but their soul might say, no, I need to stay here because if I leave them, it will be very traumatic for them. But then that prolongs what they're going through, the illness and their suffering and the challenges that they're facing. So it's best when someone is in that position to just say, it's okay to go.
We'll be all right.
We'll be fine.
Exactly.
Follow Archangel Michael. If you see the loved ones, go with the family. It's okay to do that, and know that they're fine. They're going to be taken care of. That way, it's a healthier
exit.
Yes, that's a great way to say it. A healthier transition for them and for you. It will help you as well because you are letting go and you're verbally saying it, which will help you too. All right. If you have any questions or concerns, please be sure to contact us. Anything else you'd like for us to discuss in regards to this topic, please be sure to send us a message. You can reach us at 190 Vision on our website, YouTube, our Facebook page and group, as well as Instagram.